Hello, professional fan artist here. Drawing digitally or traditionally is a long process. A piece of art can take hours, weeks, months, or years. People want me to teach techniques, and there is often a misunderstanding that art can be mastered overnight, and that I have a unique set of skills to assist in this magical transformation. Some might also believe that other artists exist purely to show them how to draw. Most don't like the message I bring. First, there are rules in the art world. Strict rules. Improvement takes time and effort, and if you don't wish to put in time and effort, then learn to be happy with where you are right now. But don't try to inconvenience another artist because you're unhappy with your inexperience. Be happy with wherever you sit on your art journey. To call yourself an artist is not something that one does without great consideration. To say, I am an artist, takes great courage. Usually, for someone to give themselves the title, there has to have been an element of monetary value or recognition attached to their art. An artist has to face the ego associated with the title, and if others don't feel your art is worthy of the title, then they will let you know. It's an unfortunate part of living in the art world. Give yourself the title too soon, and people will scoff and say that you have ideas of grandeur. Give yourself the title too late, and you are selling yourself short. With this long-standing, embedded, negative attitude towards artists comes the subconscious desire in some folk to demean you. You might have a successful business selling your artwork, and yet some people will say, "Oh, nice hobby. Crafting must keep you happy." You do you. In the past, I have often been forced to say, I'm a professional artist, and when I take out the garbage, people don't usually say, "Nice hobby. Must be so relaxing taking out the trash." And you certainly wouldn't say that to the bin man or the garbage man, would you? Nice hobby. Let's not discuss my art, eh? Let's talk about politics instead. You know, it's something I can sink my teeth into. If a person has given themselves the title of artist, don't try to recategorize them as a crafter or a hobbyist. Artists, like everyone else in the world, sometimes have time for hobbies too. Not many, but some like me could take on the hobby of procrastination or swearing and pacing up and down. Reading, if done seriously, can be considered a good hobby for an artist, or playing a musical instrument badly, but from the heart with emotion. The word craft to me is something that I do with my niece, which involves glue and glitter and pom-poms, and yet the word craftsman is a skilled artisan in my eyes, a dedicated, wonderful artist. The world of the hobbyist evokes train sets at the weekend, model planes, rockets, or the handmade work of a budding artist, with hours of dedication sold, if sold at all, at rates far below legal wage prices. People start to think that if art isn't a torturous event, that no one should have to pay for the results of a potentially pleasurable experience, demeaning the artist, saying, "Oh, do you do it for relaxation, as you sure as hell ain't going to get any money out of me for something you can produce in your apparently free time?" What is this free time loophole that an artist sometimes finds they've fallen into and can't quite climb back out again? My prices for my original oils are per linear inch, and I have no problem saying to anyone who asks for a commission that it will probably cost in excess of £1,000. And the look of surprise on some people's faces and the complete lack of surprise on others is interesting. And so the way that we are treated, be it respectfully or disrespectfully, completely lies in the value the viewer immediately places on your art. It's what they believe they can subconsciously get away with. I have patrons for my oil paintings, patrons in the traditional sense of the word, collectors who know that I don't really do commissions, as my vision is usually better than the imaginings of some non-artists, and they respect that. They usually see my work at the beginning stages, and if they like it, they bagsy it, they put dibs in, and it never gets shown to anyone else but them. They are people who buy my art because they love to support me, but also because they have enough space on their walls to house an oil painting. And I'm quite happy to accept that I am an artist who creates wall ornaments. No ideas of grandeur here. I create beautiful wall ornaments which, because of the nature of drying time, with oils can take months, if not years, to complete. And I think a part of being one of my art patrons and the value in my art is not only about a superb end product which people can flex on, but about seeing it evolve, watching it grow, being there to watch the journey. The bond the patron has with their art is equal, if not more, than what I have for my own work. They fall in love with the pieces. I fall in love with my art too, but I always say I can't afford my own art. Well, it's true. That piece of art is food in my cupboard, a roof over my head. One day I might be able to afford to keep one, but not at the moment. So when people think that they can get my art for cheap, I can truthfully say, you can't afford my art. Hell, I can't even afford my art. It's so expensive. I always think one day I'll earn enough to keep one. But even the one I've been working on for 5 years, which looks from the outside world like I'm keeping it, already has a buyer. We, you, me, we will never probably get to own a Hamilton Shand original. I wouldn't mind, but I've heard rumours that the resale value is even more shockingly high, as no bugger is willing to give one up. We'll just have to suffer and put up with prints. To be quite honest, I'm a big collector of prints myself. Sourcing a really good Japanese print is one of my hobbies. And collecting fountain pens, obviously, but doesn't everyone collect pens and stationery? No? Just me. But my beloved oil paintings. So I stare for hours into the eyes of my art and grow respectfully attached, as I should. The more I love my art, the more beautiful it becomes, and the more value it obtains, and the greater the realization that we all have a price, that I'm a bad artist, and I'm willing to give up my true loves for money, especially when I think someone else loves it more. It's a heartbreaking relationship I have with my art. When I frame them up, polish the glass, set them in the traditional brown paper packaging tied up with string, name and sign their adoption papers and blow kisses goodbye, and send them off on their way to their true homes and true loved ones. And I admit, I still have an ache in my heart for some of the pieces of artwork I was reluctant to let go. My internal monologue says, maybe I should have kept it. And my sharp mind always snaps back. If you want to keep it, that means it was good enough to sell. End of internal conversation. My mind me is mean. For me to get to the point that I actually like my art has taken years and years of study. The drive to improve never diminishes, and my little studio flat here in Edinburgh was becoming increasingly full of canvases at some point or another in the drying stages. And while the oil paint dries, I practice my art. I have always had a love of digital art, but for a number of years the technology wasn't good enough to replace my traditional art. But I still continue to sketch away in Photoshop, using it as a sketchbook to draw out ideas, an environmentally friendly way which didn't involve lots of screwed up paper in a bin. I liked it, and it liked me. One year I decided I needed to level up my art practice by doing, like all great artists of antiquity, the grand tour of Italy. I planned it all out: Tuscany, Florence, Assisi, Rome. And when I started packing, I realised that a travelling artist usually packs watercolours. And for the life of me, I have never been good at watercolours. I have bought the most expensive watercolour palettes to no avail, as I always go OTT and turn everything into mud. My layering skills for oil painting doesn't translate well to watercolours, as a dominant colour in oil is not the same. Yep, I could study and get good at watercolours, but I've got to be rubbish at something. Watercolours and cooking. Rubbish. Anyway, back to Italy. A week before I went on my grand tour, I decided I was going to go digital. I ran around the shops trying to find a good portable tablet with an S Pen which behaved like a proper pen. I was completely excited about the idea that a good digital tablet was the equivalent of carrying 1,000,000 pens and paper and colours of paint and different sizes of paintbrushes around with me. More than I could ever physically carry, and without getting any of my cuffs and my well-chosen suitable for Italy outfits dirty. I named that tablet Fucking Expensive Pen and Paper. And since the moment I bought it, I haven't gone anywhere without my tablet. I'm a complete convert. When I got back to Edinburgh, I thought I'd best level up my digital skills. I decided that on a bus journey I did every day, rather than sit and stare out of the window, I'd do a digital sketch every day and post it on Twitter. This went on for quite a while, and then on the 17th of March 2019, I set up my Instagram account. I thought it would be nice to have a little gallery of my art. I started it off with some little still life oil sketches, some light studies, nothing too amazing, and then started posting some of my digital work. One day, one of my followers said, "I like your digital work, but I like your traditional more." And this one innocent statement was mind-blowing to me and made me do a complete turnabout. You see, to me there was no difference whatsoever. I draw on paper, I draw on glass, no difference whatsoever, except the glass surface of digital is usually nice and smooth, and unlike canvas, doesn't have a texture which interferes with my line. So to me, digital was becoming preferable. Putting aside the fact that I didn't ask nor give permission for anyone to critique my art, putting the negativity of demeaning one piece of art as a way of attempting to say you like another aside for a moment, I stopped to ask myself a serious question. What do I do differently? Is there a digital tool that I use that I don't use traditionally? Is there something I do more of or less of? Yes. 1. Too much use of the smudge tool. 2. I applied paint, more like gouache or acrylic, and I didn't pay attention to transparent layering like I do with oils. 3. I wasn't taking my time with colour. I treated my oil palette with respect and mixed colours perfectly, as some paint is expensive, yet I used my digital palette like a child would dip into a pot of paint. They were right that my digital art wasn't as good as my traditional, but they were wrong to compare the two, as I was still learning digital and was years ahead with my oils. The comparison actually annoyed the hell out of me. There is this them and us with digital and traditional artists that I have never been a part of. Never. I am exactly the same person, regardless of the surface I draw on. I studied fine art at college and university, and I know full well what does and what does not define me as an artist. At that time, I had no idea that I was just about to piss the world off, as I am not a self-taught artist, but a fully trained classical artist who loves digital, and that truly annoys the world. And the way that I'm truly annoying the world is that I'm finally starting to get good enough at digital that you can't tell the difference. But with this drawing I'm doing right now, it screams and shouts digital. That's the way I've chosen to draw it. But the realism that I capture within it, that makes my art look like my art, is because I'm using traditional realism techniques. So when people ask me to show them how I draw, all I can really do is let them see these long videos in real time of how I actually do it. But even these long videos are just a snippet of a longer process edited down. And if people don't think they have the time to watch hours and hours of another artist's work, and yet they still want to magically improve, they won't. I still watch YouTube videos of other artists drawing. I don't watch those how-to videos anymore. I watch other artists actually drawing. I take some time out, and for that moment in time, I'm an apprentice in an artist's studio, watching and learning. Drawing isn't something we are born able to do, or can learn overnight. Every artist sets out on an art journey and never stops travelling. So I have many Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, real-life artist friends now, and each of us is on a different part of our journey, which is why I would never teach you, because you are right now on your journey exactly where you need to be. I would never tell you what is right or what is wrong, or if something is better than something else, because as an artist, we instinctively know what is right and what is wrong, and we certainly don't need someone to tell us what they don't like about our art. Do you know why? Because nobody, I swear nobody, can compete with the way we berate our own art in our own heads. I swear that my mean mind repeatedly says that my art is not fit to burn until pretty much the last 10 minutes of every single drawing. Even then, within those last 10 minutes, we are sometimes just having a debate with ourselves that we have to accept where our artistic ability currently stands, and that this exact moment our art is as good as it gets. Literally, we could not do any better, as that is where we are at. I have said unforgivable words to a person in the past. The words, "What do you think?" And I've had to interrupt and say, wait, I'm sorry. You misunderstood what I meant. I meant, tell me what you like. Don't tell me what you don't like. I have no interest in what you don't like. I only care about what you like, obviously. If another artist comes to me and says, there is something up with this piece, I can't put my finger on it. I've used all the tricks, squinting, looking at it in a mirror, turning it upside down. I've walked away for 2 days and I've come back and there is something that needs to change and I can't figure it out. That's different. That's an artist friend who needs help. And I'll say, I fucking love this piece. Give it here. Give it. And I'll squint and I'll turn it upside down. And if I can say, it's that shadow, it's out by 2 millimeters, or there should be a touch more blue in that red. And they say, oh yeah, that's it. Oh, thank fuck for that. I was starting to go mad looking at it. Then I'm a true artist friend. That's what we offer each other. Just another pair of eyes. Never criticism, never negativity, just another pair of skilled eyes. The best thing I can do as an artist friend is not teach you, but let you sit and watch. Let you relax and sit with me and watch. You might learn something, you might not. I really don't create these videos because I believe I have something to teach. I don't care about teaching anyone anything. I just like you watching me. Like, why you like the idea you are sat in the chair next to me, relaxing and maybe smiling and nodding and thinking, see my mate there? She's fucking good. And I can say, you like watching, don't you? It's like pen porn for you, isn't it? You think it's boring just watching art, so you want entertained with my sultry voice. You're like, ASMR. And really say, yup, shut the fuck up and get on with it. And I'll say, you sharp. And you say, no, you sharp. Right, that's it, I'm off. We all do completely adore each other, but this is usually the relationship I have with my watchers. Most of you, anyway. Which reminds me, I've got this idea about writing a role play about my knights who watch over me. And if, like my real life friends, you think, does it always have to be so gay? The answer is, probably. You see, if I'm going to practice drawing anatomy, I get to pick and choose my muse. And I'm thoroughly enjoying practicing my anatomy skills on fan art and reading fanfics. There are some filthy fanfics out there and I haven't even started. So I do hope you like a little bit of naughty audio. Each of the characters I draw, I think, has someone written a fanfic about them, and usually they have. This character is called Kissae. So I went on Google and I went, Kissae Fanfic. Let's see what we're going to get. A reading from Kreyul and Kissae, Wattpad. Once upon a time, a man named Kreyul was drinking some boba tea rather awkwardly. He didn't give a flying fuck about anything else at the moment. Suddenly he looked up to see his genderless friend staring at him with a raised eyebrow. You okay, bro? Kreyul flipped out and set his drink down. Oh my god, Kissae, what's up? I haven't seen you in a year. Kissae laughed and took Kreyul's tea. The sky is up. Kreyul laughed and transported the two of them back to his place. After a while of getting to know each other again, Kreyul sighed, I wish you could live with me. I get lonely here by myself. Kissae smiled and leaned onto Kreyul's shoulder. That's gay, bro. Kreyul looked at Kissae. So what if it's gay? I like you. Kissae lightly whacked Kreyul's upside-down head. Kreyul laughed and lay down in his bed, Kissae following his actions. Kreyul? Yes? Kissae rolled on top of his friend and straddled him in an unsexual manner. Aren't you going to flick me? Kreyul smirked. For what? Without warning, Kissae leaned down and kissed Kreyul. For flicking you first. He giggled in a childish way and smiled. Kreyul blushed. When they first met, Kreyul learned that Kissae didn't know about normal human body language, and as a prank kissed him and told him it was called a flick, and it was used as punishment. Kreyul pulled Kissae closer to him and kissed him passionately, Kissae kissing back. Kreyul pulled away and took off his shirt to prevent getting hotter. Since Kissae is ice cold to other people, he's hot to Kreyul. Kissae laughed. Am I really that hot to you? Kreyul nodded and sighed, looking away. Kissae leaned to whisper in Kreyul's ear. Do you want to play a prank on Ime? She'll be coming in about 3 minutes. Kreyul nodded. Hell yes. Ime had just come home from work and was getting ready for a date with that hoe, Fire, that she likes. She started hearing weird moaning noises coming from Kreyul's room, though, and those were really distracting her. As she put on her peach-flavoured earrings, she heard a loud scream that sounded like moaning the word Kissae, Kissae, but she couldn't be sure. She looked herself in the mirror one last time before storming over to Kreyul's room. She slammed the door open and growled, Okay, I don't know what the fuck is going on here, but please shut up. She then opened her eyes to see her two friends shirtless and in compromising positions, playing Twister. She walked out of the room and closed the door behind her. Ugh, never mind. Just then the doorbell rang. She rang to it, opened the door to see Fire, the hoe. Are you ready for our date, Ime? Ime smiled. I sure am, hoe. The date went as planned. Cheesy carriage ride, cheesy ice cream over a bridge, cheesy attempts at each other, and then dinner afterwards. All of the normal dates rich hoes like Fire take their girlfriends on. The time was midnight and the date was over. Ime and Fire sat side by side on a cliff. Ime, said Fire. Yes, ho? Fire smiled and leaned in to kiss Ime. I love you. He proceeded to kiss Ime. Ime smiled and kissed back, and then stood up. I hate you, though, so this isn't going to work out. Sorry, Fire. She then pushed Fire off the cliff and watched him fall down, screaming. Who wrote that? Terrible.